Ready? Test. All right. Testing. Testing. We good? Sound good? All right. Okay. Hey, everybody. Good. Everybody could be here. You guys got your storyline all lined up? I know you probably don't. I don't know, George. George is looking at me like, Now, you brought it up last week. You reminded us. A couple weeks ago. Your story. It's not. I mean, okay, you know your story. All right. Okay. All right. So keep that in mind. A brief, 5-minute, powerful story is what you're going to talk about. Okay? All right. First thing we're going to cover this lecture is on self-confidence and courage. Now, it's interesting why we got those two together. Confident. Are you confident? And do you have the courage? Now, why do you need courage? We're going to come back to that. But there's two people when I think of confident. And one is funny. But the first one, I think all of us know, Jesus, the most confident person you can ever think about. Because his message was different. His message was about him who people didn't see. But yet, he didn't waver in his thought. He didn't waver in his message. In fact, he didn't care who he talked to. Neither did he change his message. He still went on. He talked to kings, ordinary people, people who knew him. Hey, you're not the Messiah. I knew you since you was a little snotty nose boy, right? But yet he didn't change his message. He still had the driving confidence. And when you look at all of the things that he went through, when he faced people, he knew when to say something about himself. He knew when to talk about where he came from and when not to with certain people because they was not going to get it. And neither was he discouraged from anything that anyone told him. When he said, my Father in heaven. Now you think about how bizarre that is if you're an ordinary person. Guy that you knew, his parents, Mary and John, you knew them. Then you knew him. And then here come this kid that was in the synagogue telling you that he is the Messiah. And he is the Son of the Most High. That's a strong message to convey to people. It's a strong message that people have to accept that. And you're trying to make people accept that. What do you have to have, or how strong is your confidence that you can get that message over to people? But what's even more important, it didn't make him stop because so many people didn't take that in. Now, I'm going to let that one kind of simmer a little bit. The next person is in our time. I always think of prime time, Deion Sanders. Now, I thought of him because basically prime time has something that a lot of people, he offends a lot of people. Jesus offended a lot of people because that was the most powerful message you can ever have. But Deion is in our time. Deion, especially when he got to the college university, because a lot of people hadn't seen Deion, you know, because they was in our age range. And now the young people seeing Deion, and it's like, he's still prime time. And everybody was offended. Remember when he went to college? Remember when he got to the university? And the things that he was saying? People was offended at the way and his style of coaching. But it wasn't just his style of coaching. It was the way he was preparing kids. And they was offended at that. Why? There was one thing Deion said that really resonated with me. And remember this. He said, don't let my confidence. You guys remember he made that statement? Say that again? Yes. Yeah. Keep that in mind. Okay? Because that's what happens when you're confident. But what does it mean to really be confident? Now, remember a couple of weeks ago when I gave a lecture, I talked about Jonah. Well, Jonah came up again in the scriptures. Scriptures have given us a lot of stories of people. And I talked about Jonah. Why did Jonah run? You guys familiar with that story, right? The one who got swallowed by the big fish? Yeah. I said Jonah. Jay. Okay. Why did he run? Why did he run? Why was he scared? Okay, that's a good point. And that's both you guys are right. Okay? But there was one thing Jonah missed. The most powerful person in the universe who created us gave us all talent. And that's what I talked about a week ago. Talked about talents. But he gave us all a gift. He gave Jonah a gift. Remember, Jonah was a prophet. But he called on him to go talk to these people, give them a doomsday message. Jonah said, I think I'm going to go. You want me to go to the right, over to the east? I'm going to go to the north. Kind of get away from this, right? Why did he do that? He didn't have confidence in his self. Even though God gave him the gift, he ran from the opportunity. He was scared. God said, you got 3 days to go warn people, turn around, or you will be destroyed. In fact, even when he wised up, tried to hide from God, that was a funny one, and then he got thrown off the ship, he still came to his senses inside the belly of the fish. He apologized. God said, okay, fish spit him out. He went into the village. Now you think about what he had to do. You think about, was he equipped? God never pick anybody that's not equipped because he gave him the gift. He wouldn't have chose him. Remember, even with Moses, when he called Moses, what did Moses say? Who am I? How can I go before people and they listen to me? But what did he tell him? Tell them, I said. So you think of all of these stories, right? You think of all of these times, and they're all different times. Each time God called on someone to go do something. That was after he had given them the gift. He already knew they had it. So the problem wasn't God. The problem is sometimes when he gives us gifts, what do we do with it? What did that have to do with self-confidence? It has a lot to do with it. Number one, recognizing who we are. And when I said the two individuals I mentioned earlier, we look at, I said three, I said two. But you think of, again, Dion in our time offended a lot of people. Jesus in his time offended a lot of people. And you could think of more and more. You could think of people who are powerful in their delivery. Martin Luther King was another one. Think about his message. Think about his message at the time. What if either one of those individuals wavered in the message because of lack of confidence? Now, when I think of lack of confidence, there's two main components that affect our lack of confidence. One is a lack of preparation. A lack of preparation, and a lack of preparation, and a lack of preparation. Number two, negative thinking. Negative thinking can kill all of our confidence. It's not facing fear. That word is overused by people. I got to face my fear. No, you got to face your negative thought because that's what kills confidence. Preparation. I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago when I gave the talk on our gift, our talent. How if we're not prepared, if you can give a lecture before 20-something thousand people, remember I mentioned that, would you do it? You would do it if you were prepared. But would you do it if you had negative thought? Would you do it if people thought, man, I ain't gonna listen to her. I'm not gonna listen to him because he's black. Now you faced with a little bit of adversity you got to overcome. And that's what each one of those people was faced with. And that's what made it so powerful that they still delivered a powerful message, even though they was faced with adversities. And that's where the self-confidence comes from. And guess what else? That's where the courage comes from. See, having self-confidence is one thing, but having courage enough to stand up for what you believe is another one. For that message is another one. Because I always think about Jonah again. When he went into the village, he had 3 days to tell a city of almost 200-some thousand people, hey, you better turn around. You're going to get destroyed. It wasn't that he had to deliver that message, guys, you better turn around. He couldn't deliver the message like that. He had to deliver a strong message. In fact, it was so strong that everybody in the city, the king even took notice. Everybody had to wear sackcloth because basically to demonstrate that they've turned around. He declared the city to trust in God. So Jonah did his job very well, but he still didn't know he did when he left. Self-confidence comes from preparation. Self-confidence comes from those who believe in us. If they send you on a mission, if you have, which is important to have a coach. Because when you have those doubting days, when you have those negative days, you need to have a source to rely on. And so each one of those individuals had the Most High. Moses, directly in communication with God. Jesus, the same way. Jesus never took his eye off of who his message was for. And that's one of the things we can learn. Keep our focus on what our message is. So when you go before people who you may think is a little bit higher than you, no. You may think those people know more than you, no. Never lose focus of your own strength. And that's where the self-confidence. The other area that lack of confidence comes from is not knowing who we are. Not being focused on who we are. If you don't know who you are, you're not going to be focused on your message. If you don't know where you are. Now, why is this important with what we're getting ready to do? Because when you face certain people and you go to someone as an expert, and if you're doubting yourself, can you fix their problem? Have you given them the confidence that you can fix their problem? Would they believe in you if you go to them with a message running like Jonah was? They're not going to believe in you. You ain't going to make that sale. If they come to you and say, hey, Cameron, what can you do to fix this problem? Georgia, what can you do to fix this problem? Okay. Jeremy, what can you do to fix this problem? And Rochelle, how can you fix that problem if you lack confidence? Well, I think I can sell you a house, and it don't work that way. They have to know that you're in their corner. They have to know that you can solve their problem. And the only way that comes into play is you prepared yourself. I'm going to read this a statement, and it's a powerful one about preparation. And it puts it in perspective about how we are to train ourselves, about how we are to set ourselves up for being prepared for the right thing. It says, if we prepare when the time comes, it will reveal who you are. It will reveal you. If you're not prepared when the time comes, it will expose you. Now let that sit for a second. It will expose you. If it exposes you because lack of preparation, and that happens many times, I can tell you. And you're talking about accepting the gifts that we have. Know your gifts. Know your gifts. And grab hold of your gifts. And the reason you want to grab hold of those gifts is because basically that's what God has given you. Run with it. Take heed in it. Believe in yourself. Even though other people don't. Don't lose focus. If you know where you're supposed to be going, and it could be the far-fetched idea. I don't have to believe in it. He don't have to. She don't have to. But if you believe in your own idea, go with it. Run with it. If it seems right, there's a reason we've been given, each one of us. And each one of us know our gifts. We know our gifts. So you walk into a room, and there's a room full of people. Don't feel intimidated. But understand your value. Understand you're confident. Understand that you're prepared for this. Because if you're not prepared, again, it's going to expose you. So know your value. Know your gifts. Work those values. Work that gift. And then by doing that, you demonstrate that not only do you have self-confidence, but you got the courage to use it. And that courage is going to come at the time that at the most time you won't expect it. You're going to need that courage. Because somebody's going to challenge you. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Are you going to seem like, I've been doing this for a few days. I've been chopping on this tree. Everybody know about that, right? About the chopping of the tree when it comes to adversities. How many chops does it take to chop down a tree? Anybody know about that one? It takes more than one, all right? It takes that last one. That's how many chops. It takes the last chop to chop down a tree. And that's how we have to view our goals. Stay focused on it, but don't lose sight and don't let someone else give you negative thought. Don't buy into negative thought. Last thing, I got this thought a few weeks ago. It said, successful people are intentional. Ordinary people, successful people focus on intention. Non-successful people, ordinary people, focus on distraction. Negative thought is a distraction. Always have been and always will be. Don't buy into it. Immediately kick it out. But get focused on what you're going to do. Get focused on what you want to do. Get focused on who you are. And then there, at that point in time, you will know then that you have self-confidence. Thanks.